This is Retire Your Way with Dale Sudis, founder of Sudis Financial, your financial advisor here in the state of California. Happy to help you with your retirement planning. 833-856-1382 is the phone number for you to call. No cost, no obligation to sit down with Dale and his team. A huge story we've talked about a couple of times this year is the wealth transfer. I've got an updated number right now. They're talking about the fact that the baby boomer generation that has done so well in buying homes and saving for assets and their 401ks, now close to $90 trillion in assets, kind of earmarked around that baby boomer generation. And they're talking about the great wealth transfer that will happen over the next 30 years. The thing is, they're talking about it going to the next generation a lot, but there's a couple of different places that it goes to first. It can either go to taxes, go to your living or healthcare expenses, so you could be spending down everything, or possibly transferring it over. Dale, when we have these wonderful homes that we've paid off, these investment accounts, these 401ks, our life's work, don't you think we should protect that with, very simple documents of at least the will?
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing sometimes how many people don't have their own life work protected like that, isn't it?
Well, yeah. In fact, I can say this past year we've had probably close to 10 or 12 families where they didn't have things set up properly to transfer assets to even the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And things are going to probate because, they come to us after the fact. Okay, mom and dad died, and what do we do? Our mom died, and she's got all these accounts, and she didn't even have beneficiaries on some of them. So those go through probate, and that's a costly experience. It takes probably a couple years in California at least, and depending on the assets, it could be $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 in attorney and court fees, depending again on the estate. So, and then anybody can walk in and say, hey, they owed me money, the parent who died, and now it takes longer and it costs more to get through that, claim. So it's interesting to see people at times, they think, well, I don't have a whole lot. And then I get all their info. Okay.
Yeah.
I get their accounts, they have this much in the bank. They got some investments, they got some retirement accounts, and I get their property or property values, and then I show them the total and they're well over $1 million. I said, you didn't even know you're a millionaire, right? And then, but I point out that, most pieces of real estate, if not all, almost, exceed $185,000 value. And it doesn't matter the net equity you have in your property, it's the market price. If your home's worth $400,000, and even if you owe, $300,000 on a mortgage to the state for probate purposes, it's still $400,000. So it triggers probate. That's the limit currently, $185,000.
Oh, wow. A garage, the mother-in-law suite on somebody's property is over $185,000. So that means that it's automatically going in. If you own a house, your estate's going through probate.
Yeah. So how do you fix that?
Okay.
And it's not rocket science. It's you set up a living trust. It's, to me, in normal language, a living trust is just a fancy will. So mom and dad own the house. It's in their name. They're in control of their house. Now, when they set up their trust, the mom and dad living trust, whatever you name it, doesn't matter. Mom and dad are the trustees. They are the ones in control of their property. So moving your property into a trust doesn't change control. It just outlives you. In fact, if dad dies, mom's still in full control of the property. But when they both pass away, then that trust is unchangeable, what they call irrevocable. While you're alive, you can make changes. You could change the beneficiaries and so on. You could, amend it. But once you die, it's unchangeable. And even the kids can't say, hey, I want more of the house than the others, because then they can be written out of getting anything. There's what they call no contest clauses usually built into trust. So things like that. But basically the point I'm getting at, and I'm not an attorney, we have attorneys that, set these up for people, and or we'll coach your attorney. We don't even have to coach you, but you get a trust set up. Okay. That protects your real estate from probate. Now, you have bank accounts, you have investments, you have retirement, tax deferred accounts. if you have named beneficiaries on all of these accounts, they too don't go through probate. You know, you could put your bank accounts, some investments titled in the trust, and you are in control of those accounts. But you cannot put your 401k, your IRAs, and things of that sort, tax deferred, into the trust. If you do, you make all that money taxable right now. And please do not name, I don't care if your attorney says to do it, do not name the trust as beneficiary on these tax deferred accounts, whether it's IRAs, 401ks, or even tax deferred annuities. You put money in, it's grown tax deferred because that money, everything above roughly 15,000 will be taxed at whatever the going highest marginal rate is, which today is 37%. And that's probably not what you want happening to that retirement money. So you you name beneficiaries.
Call Dale Sudis of Retire Your Way and Sudis Financial for your complimentary Retire Your Way review. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Okay. Now, Dale, I heard you. I appreciate it. I know you know it. But let's do that again. What do you? So we're putting assets into a trust, but don't name the trust as the what? As the beneficiary? Or you're saying don't put tax deferred
Okay.
investments
Yeah.
into there? Can you maybe give me a hard example? Or, you're saying investment
Real
account. So you got your crypto account. No, let's not do that. But you got your investment account. You name the trust. I
Okay.
mean, aren't we naming children or even spouses or somebody as beneficiaries?
Well, yeah, the trust is like I said, a fancy will. So you have your kids or whoever you named as beneficiaries. Could even be charities that whoever is going to
Yeah.
inherit all this stuff. So the property, your home goes wherever you've named in your trust. The If you put your bank accounts and your non-retirement, non-IRA type investments in the name of the trust, they go, like I said, they go to whomever you name. You got multiple properties. You can say this property goes to this child, this one goes to that child. So you can have specific things set up, or you can keep it simple and everybody gets their share. You've got 4 kids, they each get 25% of whatever the
Okay.
trust assets are.
I have a
So that's
question,
not
though. I got a question for you. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Because I've read this.
sure you did.
No,
Sure
I
you
read
did.
this recently. I was talking to somebody actually who was kind of an estate planning attorney. He was also a tax attorney, and we were just having this conversation. And he said a very interesting phrase that stuck with me. Well, I want to make sure I get this right. It's that equal is not always fair. In that, yeah, I like what you're saying. Keep it simple. Maybe just 25% to each one of the 4 kids. But sometimes, overly helping one of the kids, maybe because they're not as good with finances or haven't done as well, you figure you're giving them a step up. They're the ones who could really use that help. But then sometimes it makes the other one who did well, has a good job, has saved, have been able to do okay in the world of their own economy. If they don't get as much, they're like, well, I did everything
Right.
right. Why didn't mom and dad love me as much?
Right.
Fair is not always equal.
You can vary it however you want. Now, let's throw another twist.
Mm-hmm.
What if one of your children have special
Well, that's
needs?
different. I agree with you,
Okay.
but that is different.
So let's say they have special needs and they're on like Medi-Cal and they get
Mhm.
SSI. So they get income. And they have to keep under a certain limit to keep those benefits. So what you do there is you have built into your trust a provision for that child, a special needs trust. And now their portion is kept in this special irrevocable, trust after you die. And you have a trustee, maybe one of the siblings or other relatives, whoever, can divvy money out to help them, here and there, just like you would be doing through the years. So there's some neat systems that way. But bottom line, earlier, what I was getting at, if you have any type of tax deferred money, it could be a 401k, a 403b, 457 deferred comp, tax sheltered annuity, or a TSP if you're a government worker, or an IRA. Okay. Please make sure you make note of this. Do not name your trust as beneficiary. You create complications. The trust is not a person. So that money, for the most part, is going to be taxed at whatever the highest marginal rate, which again, today is 37, and likely in 2026, it's going to go back up to 39, almost 40%. So
Yeah, I can.
You
Yeah.
know, there's reasons to properly structure. We coach our families. Now you got your trust set up. Great. This is, your property's in it. Great. Here's how you make sure other assets, go where you want them to without excess taxes too.
Right. You know what? Keeping the family together, especially as we talk about this time of year, we want to make sure that when you're no longer around to help get through these family wrinkles, that there isn't anything to argue about, that there isn't anything to disagree about. And sometimes trying to figure out what the family actually wants is a wonderful conversation you can have around that end of the year. Folks, call the phone number if you don't know how to mediate this conversation with your family. Dale, you can fit what, 10, 12 people in your office? What in your office space? How many can we fit? We pack like 20
Oh, we
people in
could
there?
just have 100
Bring the
people
whole
all at once.
family. Bring the whole
Yeah,
family,
yeah,
folks.
we're not opposed to that. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be physically. You're here at my office
Hmm.
right in Fresno. You could set up a telephone appointment or even a Zoom appointment. We help people up and down the
Yeah.
state, and you're
Yeah.
welcome to do that. There's no obligation.
Yeah. Yeah. So even just to set up a phone call or something like that, dial this phone number and say, yeah, I'd really prefer just to set up a Zoom. It's so much more comfortable. You stay at home, have a conversation. And if you want to come into the office, that's fine too. Call 833-856-1382. More Dale Sudas right after this.
Are you worried about taxes eating into your retirement savings? By engaging in savvy tax planning, you might be able to create greater tax efficiency in your retirement plan. At Sudas Financial, our team of retirement planning specialists can help you explore tax-deferred and tax-free investment options, as well as strategies to help potentially minimize your tax burden in retirement. Don't let taxes derail your retirement plans. Let us help you create a tax-efficient financial plan and work towards maximizing your savings and minimizing your taxes. Call Dale Sudas of Retire Your Way and the team at Sudas Financial today to learn more about our tax planning solutions. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
For those approaching and in retirement, the perfect economic storm has arrived. The highest inflation in over 4 decades, the end to the 13-year bull run of the stock market, looming increases in tax rates, and rising interest rates all spell trouble for your retirement savings. At Sudas Financial and Insurance Services, our mission is to provide you a clear income path that lasts all the way through your retirement years, no matter what storms are ahead. Call Dale Sudas and Sudas Financial right now for your own complimentary retirement storm strategy. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. Welcome back to Retire Your Way with Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial. Interesting conversation I really like about. We were talking about, first of all, the wealth transfer from before, and then we were talking, how do we make sure it all stays in the family tree? Just a number I read, though. So this came from a Northwestern Mutual study. 40% of baby boomers themselves don't have a will. 65% of Gen Xers don't have a will. Alarming numbers there when something really isn't that hard to put together. It's not that cost effective. It's not that timely. But the naming of the who's, of the where's to whom,
Right.
this is important, isn't it, Dale?
Yeah, and I understand a lot of people, they might be on their second marriage, third marriage, whatever, and they might have their own kids, the spouse has their kids, and they have these assets in common. Okay. So yeah, it might take a little, putting your heads together and trying to figure out, now if we both die, where do we want all this to go? And there's you can have that set up ahead of time. And to me, what's sad is that I see regularly people come in, they've got assets, and especially like real estate, that will definitely go to probate if they don't have a trust, let's say. Um, and they're thinking, well, I'll just do that down the road. Yeah, sure. It's like, don't buy auto insurance until you get into a crash, then go try to get it. And, it's not going to
Nice.
work.
Yeah.
So how are you going to make sure it passes on to your kids if you're dead, or you become incapacitated and you cannot even set up the trust? So in addition to a trust, when we coach people to get things set up, they're also going to have a properly worded financial power of attorney. And what I mean by that is, let's say they've not even done the trust yet, but they're incapacitated, they can't handle their financial affairs. If their financial power of attorney is worded properly, we can work with the families to get that trust set up. Not that that's the real way to do it. It's better to get the trust set up ahead of time so your wishes are really being, put into that trust documents. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just scary. Too many people don't understand. It's a simple thing to get set up, and it doesn't have to cost, you know, 3 arms and 10 legs.
Hmm.
They're not that expensive. If you know it just you got to get it done. You got your financial power of attorney, healthcare directive. You got a trust document. You Other things that are built in, to protect you for the long haul.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes that couples will take for granted that they think that, okay, everything's just going to automatically pass to our spouse? Here's the thing. Again, talking about 90 trillion in baby boomer assets passing to the next generation. Look, if I look at the actuary tables, it seems to look like our female counterparts live a lot longer than us. So before it goes to the kids, it's going over to a lot of the spouses first. First of all, I
Oh
think
yeah,
this is amazing. But do some folks take for granted not doing actually just a simple will planning and checking beneficiaries between couples?
correct. I could tell you story upon story, but simply put, I had one couple. I'm working with the kids now, and mom had passed away, and so dad, inherited her IRA and different accounts and has the property, and he was, in the process of, getting them set up in his name and like the IRA, let's say, and other accounts, but he didn't name beneficiaries now on his. So these accounts, even though they have children, that ultimately that's where they wanted to go, they're kind of left with probate, right? Because, in fact, unfortunately, dad died before he finished getting all the accounts set up properly with beneficiaries. He got them in his name, but now they're in probate because didn't put didn't list beneficiaries. Sometimes I see that with property as well. But many times we work with families, and who do we end up hand holding for the long haul is the wives. And they inherit all this stuff, right? And so we take them through, the process and help them along the way as well. But because they do inherit. Now, this is that time of year too, if we're talking about women. Um, we've been with family, maybe you're seeing parents or other loved ones who are declining health wise or needing more help. And if you are thinking about, well, maybe I need to quit working and go take care of mom and dad or whoever, you need to know about the options. What are the options that can help, pay for care? Or what are the options that on a practical side, that they could be in a, not a nursing home, but be in some kind of, like I call them, cruise ship on land, some kind of fancy assisted living where they can afford that and be properly cared for. In others, you have options. Let us know what's going on. It doesn't cost a dime to know what your loved one's rights and options are for the care and or how to trigger programs that possibly can pay for that care to keep them even at home. So there's some neat things like that we like helping people. That's actually what we've been known for since 1997.
Yeah,
So
the
helping
state
thousands of
the
families that
state
way.
of California and what
Hmm.
you do together with that, there are really a lot more options here than there are all the way across the country. And
Hmm.
you've helped and kind of dig out there and figure out because there's different rules and like even in the different counties, from what I understand, depending on where you
For
live.
some, yeah, for some programs, but majority
Hmm.
of the state is actually always been different than the rest of the country. California, when there was a so-called spend down problem, California never adopted even the 3-year look back in 1993. They did not adopt the 5-year look back in, was it 2006 with the Deficit Reduction Act. California was only a 30-month, 2.5 year look back. But now, as of January of 2024, there's no more look back because they don't look at your properties, they don't look at your accounts, different assets. They only look at income. So so that's
Yeah.
it's made it much easier now to activate programs.
Thank you. You've taken me through once or twice, and I get it. When you say income, you mean what you take from your own accounts what you're taking from Social Security account?
Okay.
I guess it as well.
The income that they can count is Social Security, pensions,
Mm-hmm.
IRA distributions, okay, rental net income from your Schedule E, basically. But they do not count interest and dividends. That's not income.
Get your comprehensive, complimentary Retire Your Way review by calling 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
So I think a small light bulb that just went on in this very, very dark head of mine is that if you do Roth conversions, you're actually possibly putting yourself in a better place for having more care.
You've eliminated, if you convert all your retirement accounts to Roth, now you've eliminated the mandatory required minimum distribution down the road. You don't have to take anything out. And if you do, it's tax-free. It doesn't affect your income. So, again, when we look at people and we're working with the family, we're looking at many different angles. And like I tell people, they come in and they have their careers. They've had this job or that job or whatever. And I tell them, look, I'm not going to pretend to know what you do. And if I was trying to do what you do, I'd probably get fired the first day. But I do know how to help you with this side of the equation. This is what we've been doing for, over 30 years. So but everything needs to be looked at, not just how to protect the assets to go to the kids or whoever, how to cover long-term care down the road. But, my big, what I really enjoy doing is helping people see, number one, I can retire, maybe even retire early, or maybe I'm already retired. And, my money, my income's going to last, and it'll keep up with inflation. When people know their income is secure, in other words, they can pay the bills, they can play, they can do all these things. And if they need care, we've got it dialed in. Their focus is on more important things like the spouse, their kids, their grandkids, whatever is more important to them. It frees up their mind. And that's what we love doing with people.
Folks, you can get started on your own written financial plan with the team here, Dale Sudas and Sudas Financial. It is no cost. It's no pressure. He's not going to be pitching stuff at you. It's a conversation just to get started, finding out exactly what retiring your way would mean to you. You can call the phone number. You can go to the website. I'll give them both to you, 833-856-1382. I know at the end of the year here, in the beginning of the new year, we've got so many other things on our minds. And I do want you to enjoy your families, enjoy a little bit of your time off. Take some time, put your feet up, watch some of the holiday movies. But wouldn't it give you a little bit of peace of mind to know that your retirement strategy is going to work for you, your spouse, and as we were talking about before, your family for generations? That's part of the conversation. And another thing that I always like that Dale says, we work with the assets that you have. It's not about having huge, huge estates. It's about working with the retirement that you have, the assets that you have. And we'd be glad to sit down with you. Call the phone number, folks, 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. The website is Sudas.com, Soutas.com. Dale?
I'm broadcasting.
Yeah, I got anything to say before we take off here today?
Yeah, just give us a call. Set a time, visit. There's no pressure, nothing at all like that. So it's easy.
Thank you so much for listening to Retire Your Way with financial advisor Dale Sudas. He and I will both be back again next week. Enjoy your holiday time. Don't get distracted driving. And don't overblow that holiday budget. Keep yourself in budget. Don't start the next year in a hole. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. As a valued radio listener of Retire Your Way, Dale and his entire team of retirement professionals invite you to schedule your very own complimentary retirement plan review session. 833-856-1382 is the number for you to call. If you don't have a retirement strategy mapped out that includes low-fee investment elections, tax minimization strategies, decumulation plans that will last as long as you need them to, then call for your very own retirement review session, complimentary for our valued radio listeners. Are you able to lower your taxes in retirement? Are you unclear about your Social Security, Medicare, investment fees, and risk? Or how to produce guaranteed lifetime income so your lifestyle and goals don't have to be changed with the ups and downs of the market or taxes? Call Dale Sudis with Sudis Financial and be confident you can retire your way. Schedule your own comprehensive and complimentary retirement review session. Don't just live in retirement, thrive. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and are not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Any discussions of specific strategies are for informational purposes only and have been provided to help determine whether they may be appropriate for your specific situation. If applicable, the primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Comments regarding a particular client's experience may or may not be the same as another client's experience, and is not an indication that any client or prospective client will experience the same or a higher level of future success or performance. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Nothing herein constitutes a recommendation that any security, portfolio of securities, or investment strategy is suitable for any specific person. No legal or tax advice is provided. Please review your retirement, tax, and legacy planning strategies with a legal or tax professional before transacting or implementing any strategy discussed herein. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. This is not endorsed or affiliated with the Social Security Administration, any federal Medicare program, nor any U.S. government agency. If applicable, we do not offer every plan in your area, and contacting us at the phone numbers provided herein will direct you to a licensed insurance agent. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. All rights reserved.